Season's greetings. Welcome to the Ghosts Are Near show, where we explore and discuss paranormal phenomena. I'm your host, Keith Johnson, the co-founder of New England Anomalies Research, and I'd especially like to welcome everyone to our 13th year anniversary show. And I have some very, very interesting guests on tonight. They are very, very good friends of mine who I've known for quite a number of years, one of them pretty much all their life, all their young life. And Cody Ray Desbian, who has been on our show many times before. He is no stranger to Ghosts Are Near. And of course, he is a member of the Atlantic Paranormal Society, the home team, as well as Rise Up Paranormal with our good friend Ken DaCosta. And Satori Hawes. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank Keith. You. Congratulations on 13 years. That's great.
Thank you very much. Thank you. And congratulations on your show as well.
Thanks.
Now, Cody and Satori are on a show called Ghost Nations, Ghost Nation, which you may have heard of. And tell us a little bit about that show for those who are not familiar with it.
So Ghost Nation is pretty much more inclusive than Ghost Hunters ever was. So really, my dad wanted to bring every paranormal team in the nation together for our love of ghost hunting, really. So what it is my dad takes his team, Steve and Tango, out on investigations and includes people from other paranormal teams to see if they can crack down on their cases.
Great. And would you please explain just who your dad is for those who may not know?
My dad is Jason Hawes, who founded the Atlantic Paranormal Society.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm very familiar with that, having been a member myself back in the early days, of course, in the really conception of the original Ghost Hunters and such.
First generation.
Yep, exactly. First generation. Dating myself by saying that. Yep, first generation. So how did this all come about that you two became involved in the new show, Ghost Nation?
Well, of course, we've been helping out families all over New England with the group, helping out with private cases, people going to their homes that are having trouble, people who are scared in their homes.
Yeah.
And this just happened to be one of those cases that was a little more in-depth than some other ones that we've worked on. It had, properties involving Santeria, which was touchy subjects for us to investigate because we really hadn't had any, previous cases involving that, at least with our current team. So just to get a little more information and a different set of eyes looking at the case, that's how the episode that recently aired was put together.
Oh, great. Fantastic. And how do you find working on camera, Satori? How do you find that?
It's a lot different than what we usually do every weekend.
It is,
yes, I'm sure it is, yes.
It's kind of like what we do, but you have to disregard all the cameras around you. So it's kind
right, and that's difficult to do.
Yeah, you know that very well. It's kind of tough at first, but I think after a couple of days, we definitely got the hang of it. So
good. Of course, it's an hour format, and as I've mentioned before, a lot more goes in than you just see on camera. So walk us through a typical day of filming. You could do that.
So it's definitely long days of filming. The show is filmed in real time, so we were probably filming for about a week. Most of the team was filming for a week, and the investigation was 3 nights, and the rest of the days are, Jay and his team filming, the town shots and interviewing historians and things like that. But the actual investigation, which is the portions we were brought in on, were filmed over 3 days, and I mainly stayed in the base, watching the cameras and things like that, which is something that I love to do, and Tori was, investigating. So we kind of split up on that realm of things, but all day long we're filming the day shots, of course, and then when evening rolls around, we're filming the night shots pretty much all night long. So it's shot in real time. So when you see the timestamp on the bottom corner of the screen, it's really,
right.
12 a.m. or 2 a.m. Yeah,
course.
Absolutely. So it's very interesting. It rolls just like a normal investigation, but just much longer.
And of course, a lot goes into it. And
Absolutely,
there's,
yeah.
interviewing the witnesses and homeowners. Now, I recall that the homeowners actually vacated and left the house to you guys.
That's right.
For
Yeah.
how long were they gone for?
I think the majority of
Yeah,
that week we
I think
were
it was.
filming.
Yeah, it was almost. I want to say 6 days they were gone.
Yeah, I'd say
Of course, putting a hotel away from the property, and just so you can get all of our equipment in there, and let all the eyes down in the sky,
Yes.
record everything that's going on. And we actually leave cameras going once we leave the property. The cameras are still going inside the house, and I believe some of the pieces of evidence that were presented on the episode there were caught when nobody was there.
Yeah.
It was caught on motion-activated cameras, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
some of the best evidence that we caught for that episode was actually when nobody was there, and it was motion sensor cameras set up, in the
Yes.
basement on the second floor. And I think if there was anything there, it wasn't really amused by us walking around with cameras trying to catch any activity. So it waited for us to not be around to give some evidence.
Yeah,
which is really
absolutely.
cool.
Yeah, so some behind-the-scenes stuff. Before we started filming one day, me and Tori were walking around the residence, and we heard some footsteps walking around and some knocking and noises and things like that. But
When there was nobody else
when
in
there
the
was
house.
nobody there, yeah, no camera
Because you
crew yet.
mentioned that you had been there before. the
Right.
actual-
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. It was just like a regular case. The family called us, and sent us an email. We did the whole interview process. Went out to the home and investigated. We found activity there. It's one of those rare cases where you find activity. Paranormal activity is rare, which a lot of people don't realize that. And when you watch these shows, it looks like stuff's going on all the time, but like I said, we're filming there for a week,
Yes,
and
right.
they're just picking out the best stuff that's happening to make an entertaining show.
Right.
Nothing is faked, of course. Nothing is manipulated in any way. Everything was everything happened that you've seen. It happened the way it happened, and that's the way it is.
Now, when you arrived on the set, which of course is their house that they own, what was their emotional state like, the couple there, the family that involved? What would you say?
I think their emotional state, mostly Janelle, the wife, she was kind of nervous. I think it was a mixture of I need to get help for my family, and also a mixture of this is different because I'm used to you guys coming without cameras. So it was
Right.
kind of different for her. Her husband was kind of open-minded about it. He was all for
Absolutely.
it. I think after maybe a day or so, they definitely warmed up to it. So they were feeling better.
Yeah, they were. They definitely wanted answers. They had, I believe, 5. Do they have 5 children?
5 kids, yes.
5 children. So, and of course, they all were experiencing different things. The children that were able to talk and tell their parents, because they do have very young children as well, were telling them that they were seeing things in their house. They're hearing voices and things like that. So, of course, I can't imagine, them being parents and having a child coming and saying that they're hearing, talking and seeing somebody in the room. Of course, it probably frightens them.
Right.
And it's probably not a good feeling to feel like you can't help. You have a state of you don't know what to do. So, which is why we were brought in to help them out. And in the end, we've had, actually the night the show aired, we went over and had dinner with them, and they were feeling much better about the whole thing. Everything seemed to have calmed down a lot, which they liked, and just very thankful for the whole experience.
Oh, good. Very good. Now, of course, Cody, you are a veteran investigator, many years. But Tori, how about you? Of course, this is kind of new to you. Now, I know you've grown up hearing these stories and everything, and your dad would have to go off for filming, and he'd be on location for so many weeks, and then come home, and I'm sure you heard some stories here and there, quite a few over your young life. But what is it like now for you to actually be going on location for a change, following in your dad's footsteps now?
I think it was something he probably expected from the first moment I told him, hey, Dad, you go help people. I want to do what you do.
Yes,
I was
right.
so little. So I think he was kind of trying to let that maybe see if it died down when I got older and kind of took my own path. But a couple of years ago, I kind of told him I was really interested in what he did, and I wanted to get into the paranormal community. He actually introduced me to Cody and everybody else, and we all kind of got together, so it was really good. It's I think it's different because most people think that they're going to go into the family business with their dad and it's going to be, you know, a nice family company, you know? So it's different saying, hey, I'm going into the family business like my dad, and really what it is looking for spirits. So I think it's different, but I like its different touch. So.
And Tori brings a great aspect to the team. So, you know, we all have our different parts, and we don't really give each other titles because we just let everybody do what they're good at.
Right. I love tech guy. And,
I love technology,
and
so I tend to, you know, stray more towards the technological side of things and equipment and things like that. I'm great with, you know, meeting people and talking to people. But people like Tori are very good with connecting with the person and getting down to the emotional part of their story. And you know, just, you know, sitting across the table with the client, and she's very good at, you know, bringing out what's really going on in the house and connecting with them on a level that, you know, something I can't do. So people like that are very good because we need to find out what's going on in a house, and a lot of times it could be really hard to talk about their experiences to strangers. You know, they're trusting us to, you know, come into their home. They've never met us before. So building that trust really quickly is something that we need to do, and people like Satori are very good at doing that.
I think he's just saying I'm very talkative. That's his way of saying it.
But a good listener too.
Yes,
correct?
I guess so.
Right. Now, of course, in our, you know, original days of the Atlantic Paranormal Society, and even now, of course, now Sandra would often sit down at the table and talk with somebody and really relax them. She has that way about her that she can really calm somebody down and relax them. And myself as well, of course, I listened to hours and hours of what people have been going through over the years, and you know, it never gets to a point where you've heard it all, of course, because there's always something new, and every case is different. Everything. But how long have you been investigating, Tori? I mean, outside of the TV show itself?
So I've kind of been doing it my whole life. I mean, my dad tells me stories about we'd go places that he'd be investigating because, you know, he had to bring the kids along, and he'd hand me a flashlight and a camera and say, go investigate if you wanted to. But I think my real hands-on investigating was a couple, maybe 2-3 years, I'd say.
2 or 3 years ago.
That sounds about right. So that's kind of when I got on the team and started warming up to everybody. So
That's right.
Did you feel you were prepared for this when it first, I don't want to say first hit you, but when you're first on your first major paranormal investigation and you're dealing with a family? Because, you know, obviously an on-location, a novelty investigation is very different from an in-home family situation. As you know from my history, that turned out to be our first major case was an in-home family that was going through a lot of problems. But so how did you deal with that?
At first, I kind of saw what my dad was doing, and I was like, oh, this is easy. This is a piece of cake, right? So this is going to be a cakewalk. And then we went to our first residential house where it was with the team, and it was very serious. And I actually saw some activity from, like, with my own eyes, and it was actually a really intense feeling. It was kind of like it almost was like a strong gust of wind in your face when you realize it's wow, this is serious. This isn't
it's serious, and it's a reality too.
Yeah, so it was a heavy hitter for me to find out that it wasn't a cakewalk, but it's warmed up now.
Yeah, absolutely.
You did capture some evidence too, right?
Yeah, we caught some evidence, especially at Janelle's case, that family.
Yeah, there was evidence that we caught on our private case before the show went in and filmed, and you know, which triggered the whole domino effect of having the show even come in. So yeah, at that case, I believe you saw something as well at the top of the stairs there.
Oh yeah.
I seen something there, which is really rare for me. I remember I was sitting in one of the children's bedroom, and we had the door closed, and you could see the light coming from underneath the door, and it looked like a person walked right by the door. And you know, that was, you know, it's really cool to see something like that, but it was definitely you know, an eye-opening experience because it doesn't happen that often. So to have a house where multiple people are seeing things, which is backing up the claims of the homeowners and, you know, their family, it's good and bad at the same time, because you're seeing something which proves that makes them feel better that they're not crazy. But you also have a problem on your hands because there's activity here, and now you have to explain that to them, and kind of bring them back down to reality and show them how to deal with it.
Right.
So it's definitely a big maze that you have to get yourself through.
Right. Right. And I think a lot of people are looking, families especially that are going through this, they're looking for validation, because let's face it, they can be ridiculed by other family members, friends, oh, you've got the ghost in your house, and they're used to being ridiculed, they're afraid to talk about it. And of course, back when I first started out, there wasn't that much help available. I mean, there was help, but you couldn't just obviously go on the internet and look somebody up. It was really, by word of mouth mostly. And but you two go into this house, and this is a good lesson for a lot of people who are starting out in this field. You go into this house, and you find it's something deeper than most people get involved with right away. You've got a background there of Santeria, which of course is the way of the saints.
Right.
And they deal with a lot of that religion is involved with summoning spirits, some considered to be helpful spirits, and sometimes things get out of control. But it is a potentially very, very dangerous situation. When I hear Santeria, I was the first major exorcism I assisted in. I was told it was a Catholic exorcism, and I'll say, okay, I will be glad to assist the priest, and turned out to be Santerian. And so we're in a very, and it was a lot of chaos, a lot of activity.
Sure.
So when you found out that it was a background in some possible cult activity, because they did find accoutrements there and such, how did you go about dealing with that?
I don't think it was on our case file when we first showed
Yes,
No,
up.
that's what I mean.
So-
You were
yes.
surprised, but you were taken aback at that.
Yeah.
So once we, learned that from the clients, of course we called on people that, knew more about it than we did, of course, which happened to be your dad. And he gave us some good advice. Of course, we had already left the property because of our first and foremost thing was to calm everybody down, because everybody was, of course, shaken up there. And by the time we left, they were more comfortable as to what was going on. But it doesn't end. One night there, it doesn't end.
Right.
We just don't leave them at that point. So going back and learning more research, and she told us some of her stories about how her family was involved in that, and some of her thoughts and opinions as to why some of the stuff could be happening in her house, and we took that knowledge that she gave us and kind of explored different avenues of why this could be still happening in the house. Are the people involved with Santeria still visiting the house and things like that? And just really learning about it. And Tori, of course, talked to her dad and learned a little bit more about it, which then she told us, shared her information that she had learned with us, and in turn going back and talking with the family about our opinions on what to do next. Definitely helped them out. Everybody has different belief systems, of course, and we try to come in with an open mind, and we shared our beliefs on the situation and what should be done, and it was kind of up to them at that point to take the reins and do what they had to do, and it seemed to have worked. They definitely grounded their house, did what they had to do, what they believe in, and it seems like the situation has definitely mellowed out a lot.
Good. So what would you say their emotional state was when you left as opposed to when you first arrived?
I think it was very different. It definitely took some time. It wasn't an overnight thing, like I've said. When we went in, they were scared. I mean, at one time, Jonathan, the husband there, he got slapped across the face. He felt like he got slapped. And of course, there could be many normal explanations as to why this could happen, which I had explained to him, different types of sleep paralysis and things like that.
Right.
And other things that can combine. But there are possibilities that, it absolutely could have happened. So we take it as it did happen. and try to calm him down. And then of course there's things happening with the children, there's things happening with Janelle, the wife, so they were all very shaken up. And especially a case involving children like that. So by the time we were done with our investigation, as well as the show's investigation, everything was much different. It was almost like a total 180 turnaround. Everybody was great. We've become great friends with them now.
Good.
And if they ever have a problem, they can always reach out to us.
So you do kind of stay in contact. You're available in case they do need help again.
Yes. Actually, I think we get some messages sometimes from the family, and they tell us whatever little things are happening still around the house, and they're like, oh, maybe you should come back. Maybe we should see if maybe the activity's still here as much as it was, or if it's actually dialed down.
Right, yeah. They do believe that that there's still a little something there, but they've learned to deal with it and learned to live with it. So I guess us coming in and helping them out in that sense, giving them some new knowledge as to what it could be and what we believe is there now has definitely made everybody feel more comfortable, especially the children.
So obviously you do not come in and provoke, just to try to get a reaction.
Right.
I mean, I know you don't. I'm just mentioning that because there are a lot of, especially new investigators, who will try that tactic. They're so anxious to experience something that they'll try to do like insults and provoking. What are you afraid to show yourself and everything? And it's the old adage: be careful what you wish for.
Right. Absolutely.
Because you are dealing with some very potential dangerous spirit beings and situations.
Right. Yeah.
Now, what is your calm level when you're going through and doing this? Because I mean, it is hour after hour after hour you're going through this, and sometimes you're starting to experience things, and most of the time you're in older houses. A lot of the times that have a history to them, and that's a potential danger right there. Even if a family lives there, you don't know every nook and cranny of the house. You don't know what you're going to find, what you're going to step through, hopefully not. But I mean, and plus the fact that there is a history of spirit activity. What is your kind of your concentration level there, Tori?
So I always try to go in with a calm, kind of like a poker face. Like I know what I'm doing. It's okay. We're professionals coming in to help. So we always try to put on a calm, happy face. Like we show our empathy. We show that we understand what's happening. You're not crazy. We want to help you. There have been moments where things have happened at cases, and you actually feel the fear because something will happen and you startled. Like at that house, I saw an apparition and it startled me. But you always try to suppress your fear, and you always try to keep on with a steady pace and a good mindset, so you don't really scare the people in the home. You don't try to come to them and actually look afraid of yourself, because that doesn't look good when you're a professional team.
Right.
So,
and I have seen that. And your dad's experienced that. Everybody's human, and everybody has their different stress level. We've seen investigators, sure, I want to come in, I want to experience this, and something happens, they start flipping out. But
sure. Yeah.
I mean, it happens because it's only natural. Everybody has their different breaking point of stress level.
Right, and that's another reason why we always try to stick together with somebody. It's not only a safety thing to always be with a partner, but if somebody sees something, it's good to have a witness, to see if they see it as well. And it's your like you were saying, it's your instinct to get scared if you see something like that. So to have somebody there to keep the calm, and it really helps out to always be with somebody.
All right. Now, what do you do before you go in a potential situation like this? You do any kind of spiritual protection, meditation, or prayers beforehand?
I don't do so much as others may do, where they have something that's super close to them that they maybe do a prayer or something like that. I always was taught actually by my mother, kind of before you go into a space like that, you imagine yourself in a white light, you imagine yourself strong, kind of like a house with the doors locked. Nothing can get in, nothing can harm you. So I always kind of tell myself that before a case, that I'm strong enough to go through this, and I have a protection around me. So that's what I tell myself.
Yeah, and we always have a thing that if somebody isn't feeling well, they're not feeling good, then we recommend they stay home and just
Right,
come in when you're
right.
feeling your best and you
Exactly.
really feel
Don't wanna push it, yeah.
Absolutely, you feel prepared to take on whatever's going to happen because
Yeah, I know Cody's doing a lot of the technical equipment, and you're walking around the house. But I know, because I'm close to you both, I know for a fact that if you were in any kind of danger and so your dad was not there on location, this young man would be right by your side. He'd be a blur of that's how fast he'd get over
I
to.
know that.
I know he would
Thank
do
you.
that. So that's it's a great comfort to me that know that you have that togetherness.
Thank
that
you.
You're
Thank
watching
you.
each other's backs. So.
Thank you very much.
So, last minute, what is ahead for you on this scene with Ghost Nation or just in general?
Well, Ghost Nation just got signed for another season, so 20 more episodes, which doubles to
Congratulations,
10.
yeah.
So as to see if any of our New England cases are going to be featured, we're not really sure yet.
There's a possibility,
yeah,
but
absolutely.
we don't know what's up ahead, really.
Right, it's kind of, none of this stuff is planned out. It's all,
Right.
the cases aren't really, planned out months in advance. It's as they go. And we are working on some cases right now, some private cases that potentially could become episodes.
Right.
Yeah, so we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, we will.
Good. Any advice to people who are maybe fans of the show and have seen you both on it? What would you say to them as far as advice or just any advice at all?
Well,
I know, tough question.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it
It is. If you're thinking about getting involved in investigating, I definitely recommend that you look for a team in your area, something that's already established, that's been around for a little while. Of course, we have the TAPS family that's all across the world. We have a lot of teams in the United States, so definitely try to get involved with a team that's already established that they can show you how to investigate, the proper ways of
Good
investigating, instead of just going in at it alone and going off of what you see on TV. Because like I said, what you see on TV isn't truly a full investigation because it's so much time fit into 43 minutes of
Right.
a
Condensed,
show.
yeah.
So definitely join a team. That's what I would say.
Yeah, and be careful because
Right.
you never know what you're dealing with.
Right.
So
Exactly. That's good advice. You never know what you're dealing with. There are a lot of very deceptive entities out there that can manipulate and pretend they're something they're not. Like they're a little child. Well, are they really a little child?
Exactly.
Exactly.
That's
Masters of manipulation. Well, I want to thank you so much.
thank you.
God bless you.
Thanks again,
And God keep you safe in your future endeavors. And I'm sure you'll be back on the show soon to be talking about what you've experienced.
Awesome.
Thank you so
Okay.
much.
Thank
and
you.
congratulations again. in
Thank you.
13 years.
Thank you so very much. And I'll pass the word on to Sandra, who could not be here tonight. She's with our son, but I will certainly pass that on.
Great.
And season's greetings to you both.
You
Have
as
a
well.
wonderful holiday.
Thank you.
And thank you very much, everybody, for joining us on this 13th year episode. God bless. Season's greetings. Happy New Year.